grab the wrist. So we're here. We're always on our toes. Always on our toes. And I have this wing on her back. Now I'm going to drive, and I'm kind of driving around her head, but I'm kind of driving at this angle. I kind of want her ear to touch her shoulder. And that's how I know it's nice and tight. Sorry. You're good. So I'm sucking this arm in. My right arm, think about that for a second. My right arm, I have it around her wrist. I'm sucking it in. As I'm driving, actually, sorry, I messed it up. This ear is going on the shoulder. That makes sense. Okay. Driving on my toes, on my toes, on my toes, on my toes. Kind of driving over. See how her ear is, she's hearing her shoulder? Driving it, and now while I'm driving it, I'm walking around the head. So I kind of switched my hips a little bit. Walking around the head, nice and tight. Walk, walk, walk. And now when you get to this point, you guys want to walk around this side? Sorry, pointing with my feet now. See how my elbow is kind of like awkward?
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm going to try to turn my hand. Turn my hand so it's kind of like my hand's like planted on the ground.
Ah!
So,
just open your body.
okay. So see how my hand is like planted on the ground? So I basically just turned my wrist. I went from this, which is awkward, to turn my wrist and planted my hand on the ground. And now this arm is planted. I'm just gonna sit down and see how my hand's not moving. I'm gonna sit down, sit down. Oh, you're good. Okay. Sit down, and then you might want to move this way, sorry. So I'm keeping this hand planted all the way until I can get my other hand closer to there. So planted, planted, planted. Sit, sit, sit. And now I can kind of like grab the elbow.
Oh, this one hurts.
Okay. And it's nice and tight, as you can hear from my awesome assistant here. That hurt. But basically keeping that hand on the ground makes it where you can walk around and not have to try to like fight their strength. Because I'm just using the friction of my hand on the mat. But, you mind if I try to show it again?
Sure.
Okay. From here, stop, drive, in. Other hand grabs her wrist. Go, go, go. Get her shoulder to touch her ear. Shoulders touching the ear. Walking around, walking around. You get to about this point where I'm kind of like, my feet are kind of around her head. And I'm going to switch my wrist so that my hand's planted, my elbow's kind of pointed towards her back. So if I go like this, see how it gets tighter? Walk, walk, rock. And honestly, if they're not very flexible, you could probably pin them like this. But if they're really flexible, then walk and try to get your hand all the way to the other hand. And grab that elbow. And for her sake, I won't show it again unless you guys really need it. But try